Welcome, everybody. I'm Lee Godbold with JRA, the marketing agency for $1 million plus junk removal and dumpster rental companies and those that want to get there. Today is a great topic, and it's around a metric that we use and a lot of junk removal companies use once you have a certain size. And it's something that if you control this one number and you always work to improve this one number, it directly affects your bottom line and how much money you actually make from your junk removal company. When you're a single truck operator and you're out in the truck and you're doing this deal yourself, this number applies. When you have a multi-truck operation, let's say you're doing 3, 4, 5 million plus a year, this number is super important at that point. Little small tweaks across all of your different crews and all of your different trucks multiplied every single day out of the year, you can talk major changes and improvements. This particular metric is sales per payroll hour, or what we call SPPH. It is a key metric that tells you exactly how efficiently your junk removal business is running. If you're not tracking it, I can guarantee you that you're leaving serious money on the table. So what is the formula for sales per payroll hour? SPPH is simple. It's SPPH equals total revenue divided by the total payroll hours that are worked. And remember, payroll hours is the total amount between both people on what both people worked. So if your crew of 2 worked an 8-hour day, you had 16 hours. If you happen to have a crew of 3 that worked an 8-hour day, you had 24 hours, so on and so forth. So it's the total revenue divided by the total payroll hours worked. For example, if you had $5,000 in total revenue through the day, and you sit there and you looked, and all told, all of your crew members worked a total of 40 payroll hours. 5,000 divided by 40 is $125. So that is an SPPH, a sales per payroll hour of $125. That means you're generating $125 for every hour that's worked on your payroll. And that's actually the exact number of where we want to be. You want to target $125 SPPH. For a profitable junk removal business, what you're going to find is you need to be at least $100 nowadays. It used to be $90. I feel like it's about $100, and that can vary also based on your area. So if you're in San Francisco or New York City, that number is probably going to be higher. 125 is probably the floor, and you're probably going to want to shoot for 150. It's just going to depend on where you are. The first thing you need to do is you need to identify what is your SPPH. So without making any changes at all to how you are normally operating your company, so just kind of keep it the same way you've been doing, go ahead and start tracking your SPPH and get it at least a week, and then hopefully even over a month. Figure out where you're at on SPPH over a week or a month, and then start implementing methods of improving that SPPH, which we're about to get into. One of the first things to really understand is where exactly is your payroll going to. Most people think the majority of the time that they spend is revenue generating activities. It is unfortunately not the case with junk removal. If you kind of break down, let's say there's an 8-hour day, you have a crew running for 8 hours, about 2.5 hours is going to be spent on what we call windshield time. It's driving around. It's getting to jobs. It's driving to the landfill or donation center. It's stopping for gas. It's driving back to the shop. It's a ton of time that's just windshield time. 2.5 hours is going to be spent loading junk. So you've got only 2.5 hours you actually generating revenue, on a day-to-day operation with the junk removal company. At the landfill and transfer station, most people are spending about an hour. They're unloading the junk or they're waiting in line. And this can be significantly higher in certain areas. Some of you guys, you'll spend 2, 3, or 3 hours at a landfill or transfer station waiting in line. And there's going to be certain times, if it's during the holiday season or if there's been bad weather and the landfill's been closed, there's several variables that can happen that will increase the amount of time you spend. A lot of time spent at a landfill. And you're going to spend about an hour a day at the shop. So you got the time where people are going to be clocking in. You're going to do your pre-drive out checks, checking over all the maintenance on your vehicles. Should be doing some sort of a morning huddle, going over the schedule that lasts about 15 minutes. Making sure you have all the supplies on your truck, just looking everything over. And you're about an hour a day, about 30 minutes, well, about 30 to 45 minutes at the start of the day, and maybe 30 to 15 minutes at the end of the day is what you're looking at. And then your guys, some of you guys are going to pay for breaks, some of you aren't, but generally your guys are going to be taking somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 minutes to an hour on breaks. So that means you are spending only about 2.5 hours actually generating revenue for your business, and everything else is in other areas that's not revenue generating. The areas that are non-revenue generating are generally going to be the areas where you can find little bits of savings here and there, which increase your SPPH and your profitability. There's potential that you can work more efficiently and work faster on a job site, but you're going to find a lot of your time savings are going to be in other areas than just loading up your vehicles. So how can you increase SPPH and junk removal? Well, the quickest way is charging the right price. So making sure that your rates are high enough. Just by increasing your rates, they go straight to your bottom line, and that immediately impacts your SPPH. And most likely, any of you and all of you can probably increase your rates by 5% right now and have absolutely no effect on how much business that you have. That's a general rule. Maybe if you just increase rates, maybe you're flirting with the cap. But most of us can increase rates by 5% and not seeing any issue at all. A two-man crew should be bringing in about $250 or so to $300 per hour per truck. So if you do sales per payroll hour, that's $125 to $150. That's a target. You're a really well-run company if you get 125 plus on SPPH. So what that equates to is your small jobs or your minimum loads, you're probably at $150 on a minimum. Your quarter loads, you're probably at $275 to $300. Your half loads, you're probably $425 to maybe even $475, maybe $500 on a half load. And your full trucks, most of us are going to be $700 to $750. Now you're going to have to adjust this again depending on where you are. So that's the first thing that you all need to look at, is making sure we're charging the right price. The second time is cut down on dead time. So if your crew's spending 2.5 hours driving and 1 hour at the landfill, reducing that non-revenue time is the fastest way to, or one of the fastest way next to price increases, to increasing SPPH. So how can we do that? Routing smarter, stacking jobs in the same area to cut drive time. Now what you might be saying is, hey, well, we book these jobs depending on people's availability. The day before, look at, like, towards the end of the day, maybe allow yourself a couple hours at the end of the day so hopefully you can actually reach people. Look at your routing for the next day. Look at where you have jobs located and figure out, hey, which route would be more efficient. Kind of group jobs together based on where they're located. And also take a look at how big it looks like they're going to be. That way you can try and increase the potential of combining jobs. Then you get on the phone, you call the client, shoot the client a text message, and just find out if they're flexible. Find out if whoever you need to move around is flexible on when they go. If they're not flexible, well, we're not going to force them to move, but you're going to find a lot of people are going to be flexible. Reducing dump runs is huge, so doing our very best to combine loads. And sometimes you get popped, but combining loads is really, really important. And one of the things that you can try and do is make sure that to help you combine loads, train your team to really compact this stuff down. And also look for areas of opportunity where you might be able to slip by a donation center and kind of unload some of the stuff and then go combine jobs. Because maybe the donation center maybe won't take as long to unload, and hopefully there's one that's a little bit closer. So you just get creative on figuring out how can I combine as many jobs as possible. And many of us are also facing a minimum dump fee at a landfill. So obviously showing up with a full load is the most efficient way to reduce that overall disposal percentage, to making sure that we're at least hitting that 1 ton minimum, and limit your shop time. So I am a firm believer in a morning meeting. Keeping those meetings concise is important, and having a really well thought out and scripted process to doing your morning checks on your trucks. And what you might find also is it might be more efficient to have one person that comes in maybe a little earlier and actually does all the checks on all the trucks. And that way, when your crews show up, they run right into the morning meeting, then they head out to the truck and they just get their day started. Somebody else has already checked things through. It's oftentimes a little inefficient if you have all of your crews come in the same time and do your checks. And what winds up happening oftentimes is one guy is left just kind of sitting around just a little while somebody else does the rest of the checks, while the team lead does the kind of critical checks. So you might bring in somebody else. And upsell at every job. This is often overlooked. Before leaving a job site, really train your team to ask, hey, is there anything else we can take while we're here? And also train your team to be looking around, actively looking around, saying, hey, I happen to notice that old couch that was sitting in the corner, or that old chair sitting in the corner, or I noticed this item, that old TV set in your garage, or maybe there's something up top, some old lumber up top. You can always ask, say, hey, I happen to see this, while we're here, would you like us to go ahead and take that for you? And you can also let them know is, hey, it's much more efficient for us to take it now because you already have all this other stuff than call us back later just for that smaller amount, because it's more expensive when you have a small job than when you have a large job. If you can get just 10% of your jobs to get another item or two in, that's going to be another $50 to $100 per pickup as a general rule. So if you're doing 5 jobs a day, you're working 6 days a week, you've got 30 jobs right there. If 3 of those jobs you get an extra $50, well, that's $150 right there. You times that out by 52 weeks, you're looking roughly $7,000 in additional income. You times that by, let's say you're running on average 5 crews, 7,000 times 5, you're looking at an additional $35,000 in almost profit. It's not quite straight profit, but it makes a difference. That $35,000, that addition, that's probably a $30,000 increase in profit throughout the year. I don't know of anybody that would turn away $30,000 additional in profit. And that number gets higher and higher the more, the more and more trucks that you're running and jobs that you're doing. So final thoughts. We have to make SPPH your focus. Price increases are huge. Getting more jobs is huge too. So if you're interested in JRA digital services, our digital marketing services, head on over to junkrA.com. We work with junk removal companies all throughout the country, helping them out with a multitude of things, and from branding to make sure they're memorable, to having an awesome Google Ads present to make sure they're up top, to ranking well in the map pack, which is where a lot of people are going, 35% plus are going there, to even get them to rank and be competitive against your Got Junks and Junk Kings on your regular organic rankings. If you want to be $1 million plus company, or if you're already there and you want to take it to the next level, we've got a great product for you. So check us out at junkrA.com. We'd love to work with you. Once you get all the jobs on your calendar, you want to maximize your ability to make money. SPPH needs to be your focus here. So Sales Per Payroll Hour is telling you exactly how efficiently that you're running your business. And if your SPPH is below $100, it's going to be hard to make money. It's going to be hard to work with JRA and do the things that you need to do to really build a great company, build $1 million plus company if you're below $100. That needs to be kind of your floor. That's your acceptable. If you can push that number to 125 plus, you're one of the best run companies, junk removal businesses in the country. You're one of the most efficient in the country at 125. If you push that thing up to 150, now you're probably amongst the top 0.5%, maybe even lower. Might even be 0.1% of junk removal companies making over $150 per sales per payroll hour. The less time your screws spend driving and waiting at landfills and sitting at the shop, the more money you make per hour. The more money you make per hour, the more that SPPH goes up per hour, the more you can afford to spend on getting more work. And the person that can afford to spend the most to get the lead, so the person that can afford the most per lead is the person that's going to dominate their market, because they're going to be the ones that are getting the most jobs. SPPH directly affects how many leads you can get, because it affects how much you can spend per lead. Hey, if you want more strategies like this, make sure you head over to junkrA.com. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Please give us a thumbs up. Please let us know what your SPPH is in the comments. Any comments and thumbs up and subscriptions. If you guys like this information, please do. It helps out the algorithm. It helps us rank better. We want to bring you great information to help you out. If you could help us out in turn by just a basic comment, we'd really appreciate it. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Again, this is Lee Godbold with JRA, the marketing agency for $1 million plus junk removal and dumpster rental business owners and those that want to get there. We'll catch you soon.